14:20 in the morning for this February 28th, 2023. The last day of the month has passed us by. 2 months in this year of 2023 gone already. Today's show is brought to you by Barn Burner Hockey and barnburnerhockey.ca. Use promo code 1420BARN at barnburnerhockey.ca and get 10% off their all natural hockey products and apparel today at barnburnerhockey.ca. Anyways, thank you for making us a part of your morning. Every morning we're starting doing this every day again. I got away from the Major League Baseball thing we were doing, so it's a little bit busy here at World Headquarters, but we'll start doing this YouTube live thing every day. Hopefully it picks up some steam. Got a couple of people are watching already, which is really nice of you guys who joined in to watch us this morning. It's our first kick of the cat here. You shouldn't go around kicking cats, but it's our first one. No editing, no nothing. Jim can't go out and fix things that we say, so I really got to watch my yap on what goes on and what comes out of my mouth, but we'll try to keep it G-rated like the news is every morning for you guys here at 14:20 in the morning. Anyways, the NHL deadline is fast approaching. Friday at 3 o'clock Eastern time, 1 o'clock Mountain, whatever it is, noon Pacific, I guess. Lots of trades are happening. The Leafs made a couple of deals yesterday. They made the Tampa Bay Lightning. They made a couple of deals. A big deal on Sunday night. We'll get to that in a second. But with all these guys that are getting moved already, it must be a bit of a geez, what's happening here? Because the TSN boys and the guys at Sportsnet, they have an all-day show. They go on at like 5 in the morning our time, and they start breaking down the trades the day that might happen and everything else. And when they see these deals go down early, they must get a little bit nervous. Think, geez, what are we going to talk about for 8, 9 hours on Friday during deadline day? It always works out. I personally don't understand it a whole bunch because really the trades come up on Twitter the second after they're done, right? So why it's breaking news on TSN and why we get glued to that and everything else is a mystery. But it's good for TV. It's good for sports guys like myself. Maybe we'll do something on Friday as well to go along with the with the trade deadline. But on the trade deadline day, like I said, the Leafs made some deals yesterday. They got rid of some draft picks. They got rid of a first overall, a third. They went out and got a serviceable hockey player that will help them to get maybe passed around and get past the thing. They got rid of draft picks, which I think is a good thing to do. Picks are just picks, especially when you get in the third, fourth, fifth round. Who cares what those guys are? They don't really amount to anything, anyways. Sometimes the a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while, and they do have a situation where you do get a ace in the hole and a kid that comes out of nowhere and ends up being a Hall of Famer. But it's not too often that a fourth, fifth, sixth rounder even makes a team. They end up tolling in the minors, and they end up being a serviceable guy to come up for an emergency call up, or a guy who got injured or whatever it is. So going out and making these deals and getting players that you think that will put you over the hump. What that hump is with the Leafs, I don't know. You can't think that just winning a round is what a lot of Leafs fans want, but just winning around, you can't think that that's going to be what the team would want and what Kyle Dubas wants by going out and getting rid of picks. Because you remember, like, it's not just that you go for it this year, but they've been building this for quite some time. When that year that they tanked for Austin Matthews and they went and they ended up getting him, and they give him a lot of money and they give Marner all the money, then they go out and sign Tavares and Nylander. We've talked about this a lot. A lot of people do, but the thing is, you go out and make these trades and you sign these players. You do it for now, and the time is now for these guys. And I don't think winning around is going to be enough for the Leafs. I don't think that that's what they're going to try to accomplish, because you got to think they have a tough go. You watched that Boston Bruins team last night. That was Edmonton there, and their business, like 5 losses this season so far. It's unbelievable pace. They're on 90 where they get 46. They're 46-5-5 or something this season, on just a heater of a roll, and they haven't made any deals yet. They haven't had to. Maybe they'll pick up a guy here or there to strengthen things. But and then you got Tampa Bay, who made, like I said, made that deal. They got rid of Cal Foote. I'm drawing a blank on the kid's name that they got from Nashville, but they went and made a deal, and they got rid of all the draft picks you could all possibly imagine. They got rid of 2/3, a second, a fifth, of that, on and on and on, and then a conditional. Like they're trading picks for guys that are only 15 years old right now. So Tampa, they're going for it because their window is closing as well. And like I said, with the Leafs as well, like their window is closing with the Matthews situation. Like these guys have been around for 7-8 years now, and so the amount of money that you're spending year in year out, you have to go for it. And when your window closes, you need to find a way to get something done and accomplish a Stanley Cup, or to get to a finals or something. But every team that spends this kind of money, you got to think that the Stanley Cup is what they're going for, because it's hard to win. We say it week in, week out on our show that it's really hard to win, and the amount of money that you spend, and the owners eventually want something. They want something for their investment. Yeah, the place is sold every night, and it's sold out every night, and they get money for. For the TV deals and merchandise and everything else, but eventually they want a trophy for the mantle. And with Dubas, the Dubas situation, you got to think that he wants something, because he don't have a contract for next year, so he needs something to get done, and get something done now, because you got to think if they don't win, they'll go on to somebody else, because the ownership said, here's the money you need, whatever you need here, you can get it. They have the best of everything there in Toronto, and they have it. He's put all the players out there, and I think that now maybe go and get a bit piece. Everybody wants another defenseman. Everybody wants the next Cale Makar, and he ain't coming around for the corner. Speaking of Colorado, they're on a bit of a heater right now. Look out for them, because they're getting healthy and they're ready to go, and they're playing like really good hockey right now. And they had some, I would say, what's the word I'm looking for? Load management, with guys being hurt all season long. McKinnon was out a little bit. Gary Landeskog was out a little bit. Makar's been out a little bit with some concussion issues. And let's hope that those aren't a permanent thing. But you got to think that team is in pretty good shape right now, rolling into the playoffs. They'll get there. They'll be fine, and they'll be a force to be reckoned with, like just they were last year in the winning the Stanley Cup. And like it's going to be an interesting thing to see what happens with those teams that are poised to win again and again and again, as Colorado is, as Tampa is. And Tampa said, you know what? We only have these guys for X amount of years: Vasilevsky, Kucherov, and you got to think Stamkos. He isn't a young kid anymore, so they're going to want to go for it and win a few more hockey games, maybe get another Stanley Cup, because they have the 2.5 appearances, as 14-20 Dave says, in the Stanley Cup Finals, because of the COVID year and all that situation in the bubbles, and how that all worked out. But you got to think that they're going to want to go for it, and the time is now. And getting rid of draft picks is the best way to do it. Some teams are prospect huggers. Some teams are draft pick hoarders, and the ones that are really successful don't seem to be that way. And they said, well, if we're going to go for it, let's go for it. Let's do this. And the NHL trade deadline, you're going to see a lot of players getting moved for more draft picks, I think, because it's hard to move players because of salary cap. We've talked about it a lot on our show about how they could probably circumvent those rules, and maybe the NHLPA and the Players Association, or the league itself, need to find a way to try to circumvent these rules, because it's unfair that the teams that do some winning, that they get told that they can't have their players anymore. It doesn't work out for them. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the trade deadline rolls out. And you got to wonder what's happening in Edmonton, with nothing happening in Edmonton at all, and no deals have been made. They've been linked to Carlson out of San Jose for quite some time here, but you got to think that why Ken Holland, the GM of the Edmonton Oilers, hasn't made a deal yet. They're under they're at the cap limit and everything else, but so was Toronto, and they found a way to make it work. They went out and made some deals. They ended up the kid they got yesterday. I wish I remember. I have it written down here somewhere. It doesn't matter what his name is. You guys will listen to our show for people's names and stats and stuff. But they made Chicago eat half the salary, right? So make them do that. Make deals with these teams, that you get some term and everything else with these guys, and go for it. Go for it. Edmonton has the best hockey player on the planet right now, and they aren't doing any movements. They're not doing anything. And why Holland can't make deals is a bit of a mystery, because like I said, if Dubas can go and make deals, then why can't Kenny Holland? Because if Holland's supposed to be this uber general manager, as he was with the Detroit Red Wings years ago, with the Yzermans and the Chelios and Shanahan and the like, and all those guys that were calling him to end up actually playing there, he didn't. And there was no salary cap back then, and Little Caesars had the Ilitch family saying, yeah, here you go. Here's whatever the blank check is. Go win us the Stanley Cup. And it worked, right? So how good of a GM Holland actually is remained to be seen with the Edmonton Oilers and the salary cap era, because it's tough. Like, it's tough to win, but I don't see why Holland is not making deals. Maybe he's not the hockey whisperer that everybody thought he was when he ended up in Edmonton, and everybody was lauding him as the next whatever you want to say, and it was going to put them over the hump. But they're not even in a playoff spot right now, and they looked really good against that Bruins team last night. And McDavid's flying, but they're a one trick pony right now. So you got to wonder where it's going to go with the Oilers, and what these deals are going to happen, and how it's going to happen throughout trade deadline day. Is Kane going to get moved? I think the longer it stays around, I think the less likely he is to get traded. But the thing is that he as soon as I say that, this will come out later on this morning when I get it up on Apple and Spotify and everything in its podcast form. Probably the deal will be done, and what I say is going to be. I'll sound kind of dumb, so I think that deal was going to be done. It would have been done already with the Rangers and like sitting these guys out. The one that bothers me a lot, we've talked about a little bit, is that Chikrin not moving. Jacob Chikrin out of the embarrassment that's the Arizona Coyotes. He hasn't been moved yet, and he's been sitting out for weeks on end. Now they say it's an injury, then they say it's this. Like they were sitting him out for a long period of time to protect their assets so he wouldn't get hurt, and then they couldn't trade the guy. So they make the deal 3 weeks ago. Deals, they can't be that hard to make. You look when they the Vancouver Canucks got rid of Bo Horvat. They put him out there. The deal was done 2 days later. Lou Lamoriello acted quick, went out and got him, and it all worked out in the end for Bo and him getting a new contract on Long Island. But the trade deadline is an interesting thing to see how teams will pony around and go for it or not go for it. And this Friday will tell fan bases a lot if teams are going for it or not. And maybe that's what Edmonton has right now. Maybe Edmonton actually thinks that we have the two of the best, the top two scorers in the league right now, but we don't have the best team in the world, so we're not going to win. So maybe going out and making the trades and getting rid of a few guys and just getting bit pieces only makes your team marginally better. Maybe that's what it is. So this Friday will actually make it'll be a big statement for a lot of teams saying, yeah, here it is. We don't have the horse this year to go for it, so we're not going to go for it. People know in general if their team has a chance at winning. People know in general that their team has a chance of not winning a cup. They know what their limitations are. As long as they're smart fans, there's a lot of people who think they're going to win a cup every year, but you're not. So maybe this Friday in the trade deadline is a chance for fans to gauge what their team actually is. And GMs have been doing it already, and ownership's been doing it already, and say this is what we are. We're not winning the Stanley Cup, so what's the point of mortgaging the future and maybe hold on to a pick or two or a prospect or two? I don't know. It's just my rant for the day. I think the trade deadlines, it can be a bit intriguing, it can be a bit dull, but we can see what happens in the very near future. Anyways, on this day that's my rant for the day, by the way. Anyways, on this day in 1991, Don Mattingly, Donnie Baseballs, he's still known throughout the baseball world. He's now with the Jays as a bench coach. He was named the Yankees team captain back in 1991 on this day, taking over for Ron Guidry, Louisiana Lightning, and Willie Randolph on this day, 1991. He'd had the title as captain of the New York Yankees until 1995 when he retired, and Jeter became the guy in I think 2001 or 2002, whatever it was. And my take on captains. I think it's kind of ridiculous to have a captain in baseball, but that's my opinion. I think it's dumb to have a captain in most sports. If you need a C on your jersey or the title to say you're a leader, you're not a leader. Just be a leader and go in and lead. I don't think being named a captain, it's an honor. I get it. You want that kind of honor on you, but I think it's kind of dumb. But anyways, and happy 50th birthday to the Big E, Eric Lindros, Olympic gold medalist with that 2002 Salt Lake City team for Team Canada. We all know the story about Lindros, drafted by the Quebec Nordiques, wasn't going to go. He said, "I'm not going. Don't draft me." They drafted him anyways. They got a big haul, the whole bit with Lindros, and they didn't win a Stanley Cup when they went to Colorado. So that trade worked out really well for the Quebec Nordiques. Anyways, the Flyers not so much, but Lindros, he had a hell of a career, cut short due to injuries and the like, and he wasn't too well liked around the league. And there's rumors about him and Rod Brindamore's wife, and I don't know what the truth to all that is, but there might be a 30 for 30 on that someday. But anyways, Lindros had a hell of a career, probably could have been a bit better. Played for the Flyers, the Leafs, the Rangers, and ended up, he had a quick cup of coffee at the end of his career with the Dallas Stars. I forgot all about that, actually. Hall of Fame guy, 372 goals, 493 assists, 865 points. Great career. Could have been a lot better. He was a beast coming out of junior hockey. I remember that, watching that boy play in the World Juniors, and I think it was in Saskatoon. And then he had playing for Team Canada in the Canada Cup in 91. Lindros was a hell of a player, but like I said, he probably got cut. He got cut a bit short. Anyways, make sure you guys start listening to the ballpark tour. It's going really well. We've knocked 7 or 8 of those out of the ballpark already. I didn't even mean to say that, but it's been going really well. Make sure you listen to today's show. Brian from the Injured List podcast, he joined us on I think on Saturday. We talked some Mets baseball. It came out today, so no, those are going really well. They've been a lot of fun. Those interviews have been really good, but they're brought to you by SeatGeek and SeatGeek app. You guys know all about that one. I'm trying to fit everything in here. So, anyways, it's been a lot of fun doing this morning. We'll make sure we get out every morning. It's just a little bit got to get up a little bit earlier, have a cup of coffee, and get this out to you guys. Tell people about it, and we'll get these out on a daily basis. And remember, everybody, it doesn't matter where you are; it's who you're with.